Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of On the Other Line Canada. Hope you're all having a great week. I see we already have a room full of viewers, which is exciting. I know that with the weather out here this evening, maybe many of us are looking for something to do other than be outside, which is very nice. Happy International Dog Biscuit Appreciation Day. And I know what everyone's thinking. I got a message from someone saying, "Are you crazy? We're talking about fish." Anyways, Wonder Treats. My buddy Greg, local company. I could actually open this bag and eat them. I'm not going to. The reason we're going to do International Dog Biscuit Appreciation Day is I've got a little contest idea. We'll talk about it a little bit later in the show. It's not going to just apply for dogs because I know one individual, I don't know if you're there, he likes to fish with his cat, and a few people like to fish with different animals. So it'll be part of the contest. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. This week, we have a guest that for many of us needs no introduction, but we're going to introduce him anyways. If you haven't checked out our 5 questions with James from Fish Big Apparel, it's up now on our YouTube page. Head over after the show and check that out. It's the nice thing with the 5 questions every Monday evening is it gives everyone a little bit of an idea of what we're going to be talking about. And as usual, we're going to bring in the man himself, Mitchell Lilly, at some point, who I'm told got home late from work. But when he logs on, we'll make sure to get him in there. So without too much more delay, let us bring him in. James, welcome to the show.
How you doing? Glad to be here.
I'm great, thanks. Happy International Dog Biscuit Appreciation Day.
Yeah, I think my dogs are happy. It's
I know you're feeding them treats before the show, but I think it could be because you heard me say biscuit or treat, that maybe he's thinking that it's dinner time or treat time.
Oh, as soon as they hear that word treat, they're just like, they go bonkers.
I know I have a little thing with my dogs at home that gets them all jacked up on the whole word treat. So welcome to the show. I know you're not nervous. You're more excited than anything, right?
Yeah, you betcha.
Well, we got lots of people checking in already. Ricky's here. Ricky, I mentioned we're going to have a little contest. Don't worry, you'll be included in that. Hi, Kit, Lloyd. We call him Sasquatch. Greg Rice isn't working or fishing. And Brian Button. Brian, I'm going to bring you up a little bit later in the show, and you'll see why. Well, James, we always like to start off the show by asking people, where did you get your passion for fishing in the outdoors?
When I was a little kid, my dad started taking me fishing. I mean, I was little. I was about 3 years old, and he'd take me out, and one day he hooked a fish and let me reel it in, and that was it. That's how it all began. And from there, we just almost every single weekend, I was out with my uncle, my grandfather, and my dad fishing. That's pretty much it. That just went from there.
Now, I follow you on social media, and I know that there's a lot of times where you get out and fish with your dad, so it seems like you managed to be able to get him out quite frequently.
Oh, yeah, he likes to fish just as much as I do, so it's not too much of an argument when I say, hey, you want to go fishing? it's 2 thumbs up. Let's go.
So let me ask you then, have the tables turned? You were raised on him teaching you, so now is it reverse and you're teaching him?
No, we're still we're about the same caliber of fishermen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you betcha. Or you're always learning every single time you go out. Something new happens. You're like, oh, geez, didn't see that coming.
I would agree with you. I mean, we seem to talk about it every week, but from my experience, typically if you're not learning something on every outing, then chances are you're either not paying attention, which I'm bad for, or you know it all, which I don't know it all. So that can go one of two ways, I guess, right?
Exactly. More often than not, you're learning something you didn't want to learn.
I would agree with you. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about your organization, Fish Big Apparel, James?
It's a small company I started a while ago. The company's actually kind of on hold right now until things sort of recover a bit with everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I just I started building something and I wanted to keep going with it, and built up a huge social media, built the company up, and it's just go 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 every day. Even though the company's on hold, it's go 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 every day, right?
Yep. And I think, anyone that does follow your social media or haven't followed you on social media, we can check you out at Fish Big World. Now you have Fish Big World and Fish Big Alberta, correct?
Yeah, you betcha.
The one thing I really enjoy about your social media is you're very interactive in making sure you're sharing posts. We see a lot of people with some monster fish with your logo, which is pretty cool. And just to know you're a local company, obviously the new normal makes it difficult for a lot of people right now. So, here's the hope and things kind of come back around for you and take off, which I know that they will.
Oh yeah, fingers crossed on that one for sure.
Yes, I would agree. Well, that takes us into your season. I mean, talking about people having nothing better to do, seeing a lot of activity around fishing in general. And I know you're more of an open water guy, which we kind of talked about last night. Have you been out much at all this winter?
Yeah, I've been out quite a bit. We changed it up this year. Instead of going to our regular spots, we've really been bouncing around. With all the new anglers out there, it's pretty hard to find somewhere a little secluded.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been working on that, trying to scope out some new lakes and find some new spots. And it's been pretty fun. Makes it a bit of a challenge to catch big fish when you don't know what you're in for when you get to a new lake.
Yes.
But I mean, we've managed some pretty decent fish so far this year, but nothing of the caliber we're after, though.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder to find those spots, and I would agree with you. I mean, it's really taking on a whole new level of having to hunt for those areas, which, I mean, for myself, I don't know how you feel about it. It's kind of exciting hunting new territory. If you follow anyone that follows Greg Rice this season is a prime example. Greg has been on the hunt for personal best, and a lot of time, a lot of hours. But for many of us that put in that time and effort, it usually pays off big. And what's your experience with that? Have you found that as well, or do you just walk right into big fish?
Oh yeah, I'd like to say I walk into big fish. That's something that don't happen too often, actually. I mean, the more time you put on the water, the just increases your odds. That's one of the main things. Location is key. But like I say, when you're trying to find that location, a lot of times your uh, days look pretty slim pickings on the big ones. That's for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Well, speaking of slim pickings, I mentioned this earlier. We're just going to bring him in now because I know the kid struggles. You probably haven't heard of him. Not his first time on the show. And I think he's even wearing his Lucky Dime Store hat this evening. Are you not, Mitch? Welcome to the show, bud.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Not too bad. How you doing?
Good. I haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, no, I got the Lucky Dime Store hat on. It always produces fish.
I didn't believe you at first. I wore my my McFlurry toque, my Canadian Fishing Outfitters, and it helped a little bit for Cold Lake. Darren and I are fishing tomorrow, so I have some new gear to maybe try out and see how that works out. I'm just going to take your tip. James, do you have any superstitions when it comes to dealing with not catching fish? Something that changed the game?
I don't really want to get into it, but yeah, I have rituals and habits. I got to wear the right the get up and all that stuff, and I got to do things the night before, and certain things like I can't shower in the morning. Have to shower the night before. Just silly little things I do, just thinking it's actually going to help.
It's like so many of these superstitions, they all seem silly at first, but if it produces fish, does it really matter?
Yeah, I don't know. I might have switching hats might not work anymore because I tried it and it didn't seem to help at all the other time. So sometimes it might work. I think it's just more you go off a feeling. Sometimes you just gotta change up something, or it just comes to you in an impulse, and you just gotta make the switch.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, man. There's a lot of switching this year.
Yeah, no, it's been a tough year.
A whole long list of rituals and changes. So that's just the way it goes. Well, we got 15 people. It's actually increasing every week. So we'll see some shout outs here. Zach, good evening. Greg says he was fishing, but he's home now. Didn't see any pictures, so that doesn't tell you much. Kurt, good evening. Darren, I'll be seeing Darren tomorrow. Darren and I are going to go fishing for the day. Lee's on there again. Yeah, PBs will drive a fella crazy. I will agree with you, Lee. I'm running out of personal bests. I might have to start targeting some different stuff. And Dana, good to see you again this week. Thanks for checking in as well. Well, Mitch, we were talking about this last night when I asked James what he wanted for a favorite body of water. And he actually brought something up that I thought was pretty cool. And he said really he'll target anything that's a canal-fed system.
Yeah.
Why is that, James? What's your experience?
Well, the reason why canal fed, in southern Alberta, there's not too many lakes that are river or stream fed, and that supplies a constant fresh flow of water as well as a bunch of food. In southern Alberta, it's all canals, so that's most where I fish. So when you have a constant inflow of water and food coming into the lake, it seems to produce a lot more fish and bigger.
Sticking around to where that food source is, which is for many of us important. I stick close to drive-throughs.
Yeah, exactly. That's even right where, especially right where the canal comes in, there's going to be a lot of fish hanging there. I don't typically fish there too much, right at the head gates or anything like that, but the odd time you stop there because walleye especially love coming up to inflowing water. So,
and I know I've seen some of your posts as well where you're seeing some of those fish getting caught in there in different times of the season as well.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
For sure.
Different times of the season, different fish will move in there. If it's spawning or just chasing a different little bait fish, because everything was always changing from spring to summer to fall.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a location. We went and hit the river on what was it, Sunday? Me and Aaron hit the red deer, but it was pretty slow. There was a ton of people. A ton of people. There was people lined up everywhere. And we didn't even see anything come in after our hooks. But it's nice to get out from that nice warm weather finally.
Just good to get out. We seem to be saying that a lot this year, don't we? I'm actually surprised there was that many people out there just giving her a try, I guess, eh?
Oh, it was packed. Every range road down from the dam, there was people. I ran into my buddy Troy. He owns the fly shop in town, and he had tough luck with his friends too. They didn't even have a chaser too. So I don't know if it was just the pressure from the change because that nothing's moving in or what, but it's hard fishing.
Yeah, well, I mean, the cold snap for a couple weeks here definitely didn't help either, right? I mean, for people like us, we were out braving the 30 below weather, but for a lot of people, it was a Netflix and chill kind of event, right? So Yeah, I mean that must make you wonder then too, I guess, because I know James, you're a big fan of open water. Is your target typically lakes or streams or a little bit of both, or?
Oh, that's pretty much everything. Anywhere, any body of water, river, lake, stream that's got fish in it, and I'm able to get to it, that's where I'm heading to.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's actually funny because I always get really excited come like October and November for ice fishing season. I don't know what you guys are like. And then this year it feels like the second week of November I got really excited for open water, and I feel like it's just been a really long wait this year. I don't know why. I've actually put my shack up for sale. It's in the rafters. Whether I sell it or not, I guess, is a different thing. I mean, for ice fishing, for me, spring, you're fishing a lot more outside anyways, although with what Mother Nature's throwing at us, I guess that could change. Maybe I need to change up my fishing tactics so we get nice weather.
Yeah, March Madness is coming. It's gonna be crazy. Big walleye, big pike.
Got a pretty cool experience coming up in March, so we'll talk about that offline. Well,
Yeah.
James, we've talked about it a couple times on the show. Your favorite species this week is pike, and the nice thing I like about it is even though we talk about the same species, sometimes they overlap. Everybody has different experiences in what they use to target pike, in particular. We've had Big Bryce on here talking about what he uses to target big pike. You kind of hinted at it last night. What did you bring us to show us that you enjoy using for pike?
Oh yeah, actually, I'm Lyman lures. They're my favorite lure for pike. This is just an example of one. Actually, the red dot frog is my favorite model number. They just have an action that fish you'd catch just about anything almost on them. A lot of times when I'm trolling for the big pike, you catch a lot of big walleye as well.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just an amazing lure. They have an action on them, a darting side to side action that I think it just triggers fish. They just can't resist them. But
And what kind of depth typically do they run at when you're trolling with them, James?
it depends on how far you got them out behind. Like I troll with them, and depending on how far you out behind the boat you got them, anywhere from 8 to 12 feet. And that also depends on the speed you're trolling.
Mm-hmm.
The faster you go, they'll dive a little bit deeper, and the more line you have out gives them a little more depth as well.
Right. And then that thing's got some pretty crazy rattle to it, it sounded like as well, right?
Yeah, they glow in the dark. They have glow eyes, glow bellies, and a little bit of a rattle to them too. Yeah.
And it's in the shape of a hot dog, which tells me that's probably why it's so popular with pike. They seem to love their sausages and hot dogs, right?
There you go. Yeah.
Mitch, have you used those much at all?
No.
Yeah.
I have one. Where the heck did I get one? I think I got it at the Sportsman Show. It was like a giveaway or something. Someone gave me one. Still in the wrapper. I've never used it. But I've seen them work for trout. Like I know a lot of guys in BC use them, salmon, trout.
Yeah. That's actually, one thing I will say I don't have in my tackle box. I'm doing my best to not be like, hey, James has a Lyman lure. I'm going to put that in my tackle box. It will probably still happen, but after doing an inventory of everything I have in my truck in the garage for fishing tackle, I think I have a little bit of a problem that I maybe need to just dial her back a little bit.
I think we all got that problem.
Yeah.
As Mitch knows, my problem is keeping the tackle box closed, so I'm doing better.
Well, you like just donating it to my boat, and I find them with my feet.
You still find them bouncing around, just random hooks that were mine.
I'll be wound out on the lake and just take a jig head off the face.
Yeah. Actually, Greg was just saying his go-to, and I think we've talked about this as well, as the Savage Gear 4D.
Yeah.
which seems to be a pretty popular setup as well.
Yeah, Live Target makes a lot of big stuff too, and Bully Dogs. There's a lot of big stuff for big pike for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, my personal experience and what I like about James's setup a little bit better is some of these large baits with the rubber tails. I know we talked about it with Bryce, but I don't know what your experience is with any of those, James, but pike have a tendency to destroy them relatively quick.
Yeah, they tend to pull some of the tails off or cut them up pretty bad, but they do work.
I'm determined to do a segment with Bryce where he shows us how he uses his lighter to fix those up. I think that's probably a helpful tip for many people because I know they do their damage, right? So
I've heard the little trick is to take one of them little torches and just heat them up and melt them together too.
yeah.
Little slices and rips, yeah.
I can guarantee you my problem will be that now I go from having drag marks from teeth in my finger and bleeding out to burn marks. So I don't know. Maybe if I see Bryce in the next couple of weeks, we'll do a little segment where he shows us how it's done properly, and that'll save me some grief. But we'll see what happens. Well, we got Jared checking in. Hey, Jared, happy you had time outside of your shacks. Jared and Sladen, as we call him, will be coming on in a couple of weeks. Those guys have just been busy out there. Darren saying that he uses those lures. I know, Mitch, you mentioned for trout. Darren saying that he uses them for Lakers as well. They work quite well. So, yeah. It's actually interesting to see how many of these items for tackle can vary for species.
Oh, for sure.
Spoons in particular.
Spoons work for everything pretty much. I've yet not to hook something on a spoon, I think. Just depends on the size. You just change it up.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a spoon of some kind or 20 like I do, then chances are, you could be missing the opportunity there because if things are slow, typically a spoon will always kind of come back around, right? So, well, James, what did you bring us for a rod and reel setup for targeting pike this week?
Oh, I didn't bring a rod, but my favorite
top
reel,
secret, man.
I like to stick with something that's for the money. You can't really go wrong with a Fluger. Pretty much every reel I got right now is a Fluger. All different models from the President to the Tryon. I think this is the XP. I'm not sure. Or the Summit. This is a Summit.
Summit, yeah.
Yeah, I've got one or two of every edition they got. Rod wise, I'm sort of what you call cheap, I guess. I go with the same thing, best rod I can buy for the lowest price, right?
Yeah.
A lot of what I got for rods are ugly sticks. I got a few Shimano's. One of my favorite rods is from Skipper's Tackle Box. It's a 7-foot rod. It's sort of medium heavy action.
Mm-hmm.
You can catch sturgeon, big pike, pretty much everything on it. It's a little heavy for walleye, but it is my favorite rod.
Yeah, action-wise, I guess you want something a little bit lighter for walleye, right?
Yeah, it's actually pretty sensitive, but it's just it's a little heavy. You can't really feel it. If you only catch a 1 or 2 pound walleye, it's like reeling in one that's 6 inches. It sort of takes away the fun.
Yeah, those medium heavy rods are really nice. I have a new one from Gord Wenzel. I'm looking forward to trying, this season. Mitch, I know we saw your little promo for, was it FX Custom Rods?
Yeah, I've got a ton of those. They're awesome. They're up there in the price range more. They have their regular signature series and the titanium series. The titanium are around 300 Canadian, but the other ones are probably around 130. But they're solid. You got that solid backbone and that sensitive tip, and you know when you lock up on a jig or something, that backbone's there, and you're just gonna feel, and it's gonna be a great hook set.
Yeah, and actually something I just thought about as well when it comes to reels, because I know Mitch, you don't use the Flugers quite as much, right? What are you running?
Pissy Funds, and they're actually a great solid reel for a lot better pricing.
Yep.
Like I've got this Flame. It's one of their lower priced ones, but I've been using it all year, testing it out, and it's withstood 40-inch pike on 8-pound line, walleye, trout. Then the Honor XT, which is another good one. Smooth. I love the drag on this thing. When this thing screams, it screams, and it just works so good. And there's a bunch of other reels from them, but I've been working with them and testing out those, and I've really enjoyed their product.
I'm going to be honest. I've been a Fluger guy like James since pretty much day one. And I would actually agree with you on your action on your reels, Mitch, because we've been out on the boat a few times, and I find those reels stand up really, really well. James, I'm just wondering, and we actually haven't even brought this up before, but what about maintenance on your reels?
Oh.
That's
a bad question. I am terrible at maintenance and cleaning of reels. I'm pretty bad. I usually just go until they're toast and I'm picking up a new one.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I try my best to maintain them. I bought a brand new XT last year, and work got in the way. It was in the bag, and I actually threw a bundle of shingles on it. So it's in pieces right now. I tried to act like I'm the maintenance guy. I know how to maintain my reels. I'm the same way. I find my problem is that when it comes to time to maintain your equipment, you act like you know what you're doing. But with so many of these reels, you pop them apart. There's springs and gears and washers and everything everywhere, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. Or I'll give you an example of how, if you look closely, you can see I'm not very good at cleaning with all the fish scales and.
Looks much like mine. Now, Mitch, I know you're different. You loosen the drag every trip. You polish those things up, right? Maintenance, you're just all about the maintenance.
Oh yeah, maintenance. I'm really good at that. I usually just burn them out. It's there's always new ones coming out, and since I'm working with Pissy Fun, they are very generous, and I'll get the new products, and sometimes I'll get the new products, and if I would like to purchase more of those products, I get a good discount. So
right
to me, I rather just burn them. I want to test like how long they'll work, pretty much. And like I've had some for 4 or 5 years and not touched them, and they're still going strong. Like every time you hit the water, you can test your drag, because it's always going to change. Like every time, just give it a pull, make sure it's nice, because you never know if it's going to be a little gummed up or something. You got to lube it or something. Just get stuff moving.
Yeah.
Because that'll cost you a big fish.
Huge. Been there.
Yeah.
Or as many people would tell me, my drag is too tight or too loose, one way or the other. I am horrible at checking that stuff, so I should just try to leave it where it is and not monkey around with it whatsoever. Ricky's just agreeing. I mean, the three of us were just kind of talking about it. He loves Flugers as well, but he wears them out typically in half a season.
Ooh.
Which means he does catch a lot of fish. I just wonder if he's maintaining them every week and they're burning out. Maybe he's over maintaining them. Could be what it is. Oh,
okay.
We got a cougher.
Yeah. I gave her a little bit of a throat chop when I picked her up, poor girl.
Well, we already covered it, but so we're already on our way to talking about favorite tackle. I noticed Darren had a question here, but But Darren, to answer your question for James, the Lyman lure is what James really enjoys trolling for. What about? I've seen a lot of your catches actually, James, from shore. Are you using that lure shore fishing as well? Does it work that way, or are you using spoons? Or
Yeah, it depends. Like they were designed for trolling, but I actually in shallow water they actually work really good if you know how to use them. You just reel at a super slow speed and they kind of wobble about 6 inches under the surface. You can almost actually use them like a popper as well.
right?
They float,
But-
James?
Yeah, they float. Um, the new ones don't float quite as well. They're plastic. Same action, everything. They do float, but they don't not as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do use them from shore. Not as much. I do a lot of when I'm fishing for a big pike. I do a lot of bait fishing from shore. You seem to catch a lot more. Like post spawn, they'll hit anything. But usually early fall or in the summer, they're a little more selective on what they're eating. When you're trolling, though, they seem to hit line lures. Like you have a lot of trouble keeping them on though, because I get too excited, and instead of setting the hook, I just start reeling her. I get real excited, then the fish is off. That's my
Yeah.
call. And every fish, oh, it's a monster. Oh no, it's only 2 pounds. That's one of my things.
That sounds like someone else I know.
Well, every fish I hook, I'm positive it's a monster, and no matter how many big fish you hook, I get so excited when I see a big pike. It's just like people are looking at me. You never caught one before? What's going on here, buddy?
It's the thrill of the catch, right? Usually my line, and Marcy laughs at me, is it hit me like a freight train, or I get all upset and start kicking rocks because same thing. I just started reeling, didn't set the hook. Mitch has seen how I throw my fits when that happens as well. So,
Yeah.
Mitch, you've got your own sayings. We've heard a few of them, right? So,
Yeah. Well, I've seen James catch fish too, and he's true. Everyone's a monster. Every time he hooks up, it's like, oh, it's a big one. It's a big one. It could be a 12-inch walleye or something, but
Yeah, exactly.
now the reason I like saying it is because when it is a monster, it makes you look cool when you're like, the dude called it right off the bat. But it's a little more embarrassing when it's, just a little hammer handle and you've been telling everyone about how big of a fish it is, right?
yeah.
Well, we're going to talk quickly about something, again, we seem to talk about every week, but it's very important. Social media is one of those things where people are sharing a lot about, right now, ice fishing in particular, their catches. A lot of people that we know that are not keeping certain species of fish, but their handling tips or handling tactics are very, very poor. And so, we talked about it a little bit last night, James, about the importance of releasing. And something you brought up was that I really liked is not every fish is going to be a pitcher, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you do your best because that's one of the main goals is to get a picture of that beautiful fish. But sometimes you just can't do it. It's out of the water a little too long, and you start to panic, and then it's okay. This one's got to go back. It's been too long.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, for a lot of these big pike, how big of a net are you running? Are you using a cradle or anything like that, or?
Yeah, we got a cradle. Like when I'm in the boat, it's always in a cradle. I've lost a few big pike even in them deep nets, coming right out jumping because you have it in the water and they have just enough to get out of that net. And you're just like, oh no, are you kidding me? That was a 44-inch pike, and there she goes.
I've been there. My personal best is 42, and the net I brought was not sufficient for that fish.
Yeah, that's why I love the cradle. As long as you just hold it in the middle, you keep that fish in the water. It can try and go for a run, but it just hits the end of the net and it stops. But Keeps it
Have you
nice
guys
and wide.
have you guys found that typically with cradles is a little bit more of a two-man operation? Probably a little bit easier.
Oh yeah, it's a definite two-man operation. Somebody's got to hold the cradle while it's unhooked, and you know, and they have to hold the cradle while the person who caught the fish takes it out for a picture or whatever. But yeah, and the one thing I don't like about the cradle I have anyways, it's I don't have the rubber netting, which I should definitely get because the cradle I have is that old style still, and it's a little harder on the fish. But the other thing that's really bad is the hooks get stuck in it so bad. So a lot of times you catch this fish, get him in the cradle, you lift it up, you go to unhook it, and then you can't get the cradle apart because it's hooked together.
Yeah.
But
And then the colorful words ensue, right?
yeah, and then of course it's on video too, and you're like, son of a, oh yeah.
Mitch
Yeah.
can attest to this. Whenever we're doing filming, I always tell everyone, okay, watch the F bombs, watch the bad words, and when we play it back, everyone's good. And guess who the culprit is? Right here.
Leslie, it's not bad.
Now, Mitch, I know for most of your stuff, you're running pretty large nets on the boat, right?
Yeah, I like the big rubber nets. I've landed some big fish, 44s and stuff. They stick out a bit, but it's easy to control and keep them in the water. Usually with those big pike, if we're on the water, I chase them with the boat just to get them in that much faster because those are big fish and you don't want to wear them out. And I've seen it. It's happened to me. I've had some when I was younger, like 8-pound line, and I've hooked some big ones, and I just tired them out too long, and I couldn't revive them one.
Yeah.
And I sat there for like 20 minutes, but it just kept going belly up. And at that time, you could keep pipes, so it just hit the smoker. But now I chase them with the boat, get them in quick, get your picture, get them back.
And kind of going back to the tackle, James, what are you running on that reel? Just braid with fluoro or?
Oh, I just got straight braid on this reel right now.
Straight braid?
I usually just run straight braid. My dad makes a bunch of fluorocarbon leaders, but a lot of times if I just got a steel leader in my tackle box, I'm throwing it on.
Right. Yeah, I saw Brian on here earlier, and I use a lot of Brian's fluorocarbon stuff. I used to do it myself, but I find it's just, you know what happens, right? You do it yourself, you didn't do it right, you lose a fish, and then you're just mad at yourself for hours on end. So you're taking that braid and just tying it right to your lure. That's typically what you would run outside of running a leader then?
Oh, no. I'll if I'm going for pike, I always have a leader. I'll run it just straight to an 18 leader right to the hook. But I get a lot of people who say, like, because I catch a lot of walleye too while I'm trolling for these pike, and they just can't believe I used a leader trolling for walleye. And it's like, well, I was actually trolling for pike. I just happened to catch this walleye.
And then there's Mitch. I have specific video of Mitch catching a pretty huge pike on like 6 or 8 pound test.
It was 8, 40 pike.
It was 8.
Right before that long, it was like a 26-inch walleye back to a 40-inch pike. That was live, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were live when that happened. Yeah, that pike was cleaning us off, and you managed to just give her the old floss maneuver and get her right between the teeth. And
yeah, no, I run straight line. Like if I see a big pike there and I got my walleye rod, I'll chuck that jig right in front of it. I spot fish them in the summer. I'll see them in the cabbage, and I'll just throw a little jig at them and you just wait. And I've caught so many without a leader on small line. You just got to chase them with the boat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that probably just chalks up to talent for you both, right? I'm not that talented, so.
Well, that's my problem. See, like I get too overexcited, so I'm too chicken to do it without a leader.
It's a monster. It's a monster.
It's a monster. If I don't have a leader on, it's bye-bye.
Yeah. So on top of release tips, we've also put filming in here. So Mitch is lucky hat is the Dime Store Fisherman. James, you've done some filming for Jim at the Dime Store Fisherman. What's your experience been like on the camera? Because I know I kind of mentioned it to you last night. I don't know if I could sit back and watch everybody fishing, but what's it been like for you being able to be on camera?
Like filming?
For filming, yes.
Oh, I'm kind of, most people wouldn't want to film, they'd be the ones fishing. And actually I just love, like, even just watching Mitch or anybody or Jim catching fish is pretty exciting for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no problem with it. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd rather be fishing.
Yeah.
But it's quite a thrill just being out there and getting to go to different locations. It's amazing. Yeah.
And locations like where Mitch goes filming with Jim. I mean, I've got a couple episodes on the PVR of some of those locations. And one thing I noticed last night, Mitch, and maybe I just need to get some lessons from you, but I see you fly fishing, and dude, you're insane. That arm and that rod gets going, and I'm like, why don't I have this kid's talent? Because you just get it right out there.
Oh, that's the 3-weight power push, you know? Not many people use a 3-weight, but I love my 3-weight. I'd probably push it to its max on some rivers, but there's nothing like a 3-weight. Whitefish, cutty, like you catch a 16-inch cutty on a 3-weight, that's a big. It's taking you for a run. That's taking you for work. Like, I think on that show you're talking about, I think I caught like a 21-inch cutty on the 3-weight. Yep. And that took me for a ride, but we got it in quick.
Yeah.
Like, as long as your tippet's good, you can run that lighter action stuff. If you're running, like, I usually run a 5X, so you can muscle them a bit, work them against the current, and just make them work a little harder. But I love light action gear pretty much for everything.
It was insane, man. I had to actually replay it. I'm like, so wonder this guy has massive arms just getting right in there.
Oh man, that was so windy that day too. It was just blowing, so you really had to just whip it and just lay it out as hard as you could. And with stimulators, you can drop them down hard because that's what grasshoppers and those bigger flies will do. They'll come hit the water and make that splash because they weigh a little extra. It's not as sensitive as like a small mayfly or something. You kind of want to float down on top of the water.
Right.
But stimulators, I love them.
So, James, with the filming, I guess the one thing I have to ask is, for many of us, the pressure's always on to get that perfect picture. What's your experience when it comes to filming? Do you find there's a lot of pressure on getting the right shot, or do you have a method?
It's just always being ready. I mean, if you're not ready, you're not going to get the shot. So while you're out filming, that's what you're there to do. You got to remember, and Jim put this in my head, you're there to make a show. It's not fishing. That's my job, is to make that show and to get the shots, right?
Right.
So as much as I just want to sit there and drop the camera and watch somebody fish, camera, right? But you got to always be prepared. And I mean, there's been times where I was a little late on the draw because, you set the camera down, you're doing one of these, getting your fingers ready, and that's the moment. Boom, fish on, you're putting the camera up, and but
seems to be how it always works, right?
Yeah, whenever you're not expecting it, that's when boom, it's going to happen, right? So.
Yeah, and I mean, just from what you're explaining, I would probably not do very well at filming. I would probably get fired first day because I just see way too many shiny things, man. I'm like over here and over here,
and that's like some of the places I've been and some of the things that are going on. Like, I can see something. There's a moose coming. Like, this didn't happen, but say a moose comes down and it's just this beautiful bull moose, and you're just like, you gotta be focused on what's going on, right?
And that's half the thrill, right? I mean, you're talking about locations, like some of the episodes, even with Mitch in them, some of those locations are just, I have to watch them a couple times because I'm the same way. I'm looking at everything in the background and just Mother Nature at her finest. And then I'm like, all right, I'm watching a fishing show. I should probably try to keep that in mind. And then there's just Mitch. He's just focused on that river, man.
Yeah, no, we'll have to hit that up this summer. I'm excited. I love that river.
Yeah, we'll have some more information on what we have planned for that, which is pretty cool. And I definitely need to take some fly fishing lessons from you because this man does not have game, put it that way. I have the gear, I just don't have the game. So,
well, we'll figure it out.
Practice.
Yeah, practice. I've been doing it since I was a little kid, so it's just second nature.
Yeah.
I guess.
Do you fly fish at all, James?
I used to. I got into it for a little while, maybe a couple years. I was pretty young when I did it. I think I was about 13 or 14 or 15. And I did it for a few years, and it just sort of slowly dropped off my radar. I picked it up again about 3 years ago. I went up and monkeyed around on the James River and up in that area for a while. Didn't have too much success. I caught a lot of Rockies, but that's about it. So then
Catching's better than not catching, right?
Yeah. They're a pretty fun fish to catch. Actually, they got a lot of power for a little fish.
Definitely.
Yeah, they are a lot of fun. I would agree with you on that.
Used to catch them a lot in the bow, like some bigger Rockies, like pound and a half. You'd catch them on lures, like fishing for trout. But recently, I haven't seen one caught for a long. Like I haven't caught one for a long time in the Bow River.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't targeted them, but usually you pick one or two up in a season. But I haven't in the last 15 years. I haven't accidentally caught one.
Well, everything's changing, right? So seems to be kind of the nature of the beast this year. We've got a few people that are saying maybe Mitch needs to start giving lessons. Mitch, maybe we'll have to get into the old just tossing that line into the wind. Greg's on board, so.
Yeah. I don't like giving lessons that much. I tried to give Erin lessons, and that didn't work out well, so she's gonna have to find someone else.
Yeah,
I think my dad might do it because we tried at Hinton once at Moose Camp for grayling, and I'm not the best teacher, I guess you could say, but we could figure it. I could probably teach you, maybe, if I don't know.
We'll give it a try.
Yeah.
My problem with fly fishing is this. I can get good at learning it, but it's like so many things, I forget it so quick. I'm the guy that can watch a movie tonight, and next week, if you were to ask me if I've seen that movie, I would tell you I haven't seen it. Right, so I find my retention that way is pretty lacking. But hey, man, I'm open to it. Let's give it a try. It could be something for the blooper reels, right?
Yeah, I'll just bring my safety glasses and stand off behind thinner ways. Maybe just build a little shelter for safety.
You know what's funny is I'm happy because we got someone coming on next week, Scott Stewart, who will talk some about fly fishing and filming and all that stuff. I'm actually laughing right now, Mitch, not because of the comments, but because of the comments of Erin saying, yeah, if anyone wants to teach me.
Yeah. She could be good, but I just I don't know if it's the husband wife trying to learn or what, but sometimes that you just can't do it.
No, and I am a firm believer. Like, I love Marcy, but I'll tell you what, after our weekend at Adventure Ice Fishing, I just found that, you know what, she's more than capable of figuring it out. She might need someone to show her something this way or that way, but it's not me. Yeah. She even said, the minute I started catching fish, I started catching fish because I didn't listen to you, which I can't say is that I blame her, right? So Erin is actively on here. If anyone wants to sign Erin up for some lessons, she might be in, and then she can teach Mitch a thing or two. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
Pretty much. She kind of schools me all the time now, so that's why she doesn't get to come fishing as much anymore.
Uninvited.
I have to get away just to build up my self-esteem sometimes.
Well, Bobby's on here. He said he can give me some tips as well. So I am committed. I have, I think, 3 or 4 fly fishing rods. This will be the year. James, the challenge is up to you. We've got some challenge competitions coming up in the next few weeks. Maybe we'll have to throw fly fishing in there and just change up methods.
Maybe I'll think about it.
You talk to your dad and get back to us on that one, okay? How's that sound?
Okay, yeah, I'll have to get back to you.
Yeah, get approval on that.
We could have a versus of first-time fly fishers on a creek out west. So we can find a good loaded creek, and whoever does the best wins.
Here's the challenge, okay?
I already know I'm gonna lose.
First time fly fishing with a Christopher James 550 paracord streamer and just let her buck.
Streamers hurt. Windy day and streamers. Ooh.
A first time fly fishing paracord challenge. Let's not get too in depth, but this thing has wheels, man. We'll talk some more. James is in, I can already tell.
He looks very excited too.
Yeah.
Pfluger makes fly reels, James. Just saying. I wouldn't recommend them. I have one, but
I have one as well.
it's that's a whole nother topic of conversation. When you need to take a hot glue gun to fix your reel, something's wrong. Something's wrong. That's all I can say. Well, talking about competition, so we're still working on it. And James, I'll challenge you a little bit on this as well. We're working on some ideas for On the Other Line Canada having a fishing competition. We already have Greg Rice and Adam Turnbull wanting to do opening weekend for sturgeon. I don't know how any of this is going to work out, but do you have any experience in competitions? What would you like to see?
I'm not a big competitive guy. I did a lot of like ice fishing derbies and fishing derbies when I was younger. Did a lot of them. But as of lately, I haven't done too much. I've joined up with a couple, and something always came up where I just couldn't complete it.
Yeah,
So kind of everything dropped off my radar in that sense.
it's a lot of pressure, right? I mean, it's one of those things that you when you're in it, and it's exciting, and then the stress takes its toll. I've always found. But I continue to do them. Why? I'm not sure. Maybe it's just a sucker for punishment. I'm on the fence about that one. So we'll keep working on that, and we'll be adding the fly fishing challenge to that apparently.
Yeah, that'll be a good weekend.
So what do you guys think about the new logo?
Oh, it's excellent.
Not bad, eh? Well, I'm excited because we've got the new logo. I've got it going on some stuff. It's going to be part of our first giveaway, which will have a little bit of details after the live broadcast on that. With the live broadcast, because we've been running for just over a month, Mitch has decided he likes to eat dinner on time. And we're going to be changing the time a little bit starting March. That's actually not true, Mitch. I'm blaming next week's guest, who's Scott Stewart. Scott told me I eat my dinner at a specific time.
I remember him saying that.
So the only way we could get Scott on the show, I'll blame him so that if it doesn't work, I have a scapegoat. But because we've been running the show now for a month, at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, we're going to try 7 to see how people are enjoying it. And then ultimately, everybody watching will make the decision for us as to whether or not we're going to do 6 or 7. So anybody watching or will watch next week will be 7 p.m., not 6 p.m. So you get an extra hour to eat chicken wings and relax when you get home from work. I know a lot of people are either just getting home, or for some of our fans on the East Coast, they're getting ready for bed. So the nice thing with that is our show helps put them to sleep, like Netflix does for me.
Yeah, no, I think the 7 o'clock will be good for most of us. It's like lots of people are just getting home around 6, so with the commute and everything, I think 7 o'clock will just be a better time.
I would agree with you, and I mean it's that rush, right? We all still have lives in business. I mean, not all of us get to work till noon like James does, but that's okay, right?
Yeah, but I gotta get up ultra early.
I know you're up at like 4 a.m. or something crazy, right?
Yeah, 4 a.m. Well, technically I'm up at about 3, but I lay in bed till 4.
on your phone or just staring at the ceiling?
Staring at the ceiling.
Yeah, okay.
James can't sleep.
Oh,
what's that, Mitch?
We've been on road trips with James, like out to like Winnipeg and stuff, and James can't sleep. He sleeps maybe 2-3 hours. Then he's on energy drink juice.
Yeah.
Really, eh?
Oh, I have a rough time sleeping. It's terrible.
just jacked right up.
Yeah, well, you got to power back an energy drink or 2 in the morning, get yourself going, and then you're good for about 4 hours till you burn out.
For me, falling asleep isn't the issue. It's staying asleep that is the problem. And I love my snacks. I'll be up at like 2 a.m. on my phone contemplating life and eating whatever it is in the house that isn't bolted down or locked up under lock and key. So
I'm terrible for that too. I get up about 6 times and eat. Not so much on the road, but at home.
The skinny guy in me tells me I need to drink water, but the fat kid's like, man, there's milk in the fridge, and I'm pretty sure there's like Lucky Charms in the closet.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's load up on sugar. That sounds like a really good idea right now. Well, next week we've got Scott Stewart joining the show as our co-host, and I'm pretty excited about that. Scott just finished his first season of Realistic Outdoors on Sportsman Channel and World Fishing Network, so that'll actually be pretty exciting. If anyone has anything they need us to grill him about, then feel free to reach out to me on that. In winding up the show, you guys have anything else in closing?
No, not really. You check out the Cold Lake newspaper, the Sun there. We got an article in there today. Aaron's got a big picture in there and a bit of a story about how that tournament went for us.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. So anyone that wants to check out is it the Cold Lake Sun, you said, Mitch?
Yeah.
Very cool. Jump on over and check out the Cold Lake Sun. James, how can everyone check you out on social media? What's your Instagram?
I'm on at Fishbig Alberta on Instagram and at Fishbig World. I also have them on Facebook. I had some other accounts on other social media, but I kind of let them lapse. I don't even know if they're around anymore. But yeah, that's pretty much it right now.
Yeah, there's so many platforms out there. It's hard to keep track of, right? So,
exactly.
Mitch, where does everyone find you at?
Northwest Mitch on Instagram and Facebook, Alberta Fishing Trips.
Awesome. And you can find me on the Other Line Canada, Living for Fishing, Todd Boyd. I'm kind of the same way. I'm all over the place, but just sticking to 2 platforms. Well, guys, thanks for joining us this week, and looking forward to next week. Hopefully I catch fish tomorrow. We'll see. If not, Darren will have to listen to me all day. James, really want to thank you for joining the show. It was great having you on here. Mitch as well. Great seeing you, bud.
Hey, just think of it this way. I, for the first time in a long time, got skunked on Sunday, so you can't do worse than that.
You're not the only one. I know 3 people that always catch fish that were skunked this weekend.
I got skunked on me.
4. Oh, please. I hope I'm not 5. I guess we'll see. Have to be positive, right?
The weather should be good. It kind of flattened out, so you'll be catching, probably the bite will be picking up again, so.
Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed. Like you said, it's just good to get out.
That's right.
What are you chasing?
I can't tell you. I'll tell you offline.
Oh, that's horrible.
I can't curse it, man. I got to change hats.
Oh my gosh.
All right, guys, have a great week. Everybody, we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining this week's broadcast of On the Other Line Canada.
Take care.